it's Alice, and today I'm here to share some best and worst book covers from around the globe. So I'm going to pick 10 different books that I either have a favourite cover of or books that I've absolutely loved, and I'm going to share them with you, and we're going to have a look and see what the best and the worst covers are of these books. If you've got any books that you would like me to do in the future, then please leave a comment down below, because I had a lot of fun researching this one, so it could be fun to do another round of it. I'd also like to apologise for the fact that I sound like I've got about 7,000 wads of cotton stuffed up my nose, because of course I would get ill, and of course I would feel like crap, but it's not the virus that shall not be named, so I'm still okay. I'm just feeling very run down and exhausted, so I'm sorry if there's not as much energy as normal, but I hope that you like this video anyway. So without further ado, let us go ahead. So the first book I'd like to show off today is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. For me, the best edition and the best cover is the UK paperback edition. It's quite simplistic, but I love the font. I love the little splash of blue in amongst the monochrome white and grey. I think it's just a really, really stunning book, which one of my children has managed to shove a stone into somehow. But I just really love these editions and the simplicity of them. The worst cover for this one is the Spanish edition. That gives me nightmares. I'm so uncomfortable looking at it. To start with, I thought it was somebody screaming and then like another face out with the back of their head, but it's just like an inverted picture of a person screaming, and I'm not quite sure whether it relates to the story because I haven't read these books yet, but it really creeps me the hell out, and it's just not an appealing cover in the slightest. The next book on my list is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. For me, the best edition is the Tor edition. Again, I like this simplicity. The original cover with like the girl stood and all of the like little bits and pieces all over her, I think it works well with the story because the story does have a lot of layers and there's lots of bits of the story kind of integrated in that picture. But this one just really appeals to me. Just the big moon, the plain cover. I've already managed to get hold of a copy of the sequel in the Tor edition. I've got one on pre-order, so I'm glad that they're doing matching editions of these because I just think these covers are so stunning. But the worst cover of this book for me is the Dutch edition because I just don't even know what's going on here. It's one of the only ones that hasn't gone with the red colour palette. It's very purpley and pink, which makes it feel more like a sci-fi to me than a fantasy novel. And I know it's probably trying to be the kind of circle in the middle, because there's like the circle in the middle of the world where all the different bits like connect, and I think that's what it's trying to represent, but it just looks like a big moon from a distance, and I know that there's a big moon here, but that makes sense because it's a crescent moon, just a big full moon on a cover. I'm not sure what's going on with this one. The next book on my list is The Midnight Library. For this one, the best one that I picked is the Finnish cover. It's very different to most of the other covers. I just like the way that it focuses more on the books. So it feels more like you're in a library. There's the clock, so you've still got like the minute to midnight idea. I like it more than the UK cover because the UK cover is like a building that is like three-dimensional and it just doesn't make much sense with the story for me. But the worst cover of this one for me is the Farsi edition because it just makes it look middle grade. It looks like it's a woman kind of exploring different stories and like travelling through different like magical worlds. And it gives me more of, I think it's Inkheart by Cornelia Funk when there's the character that can like go into the different stories. It gives me a lot of vibes of that, possibly like the Pages & Co series, Tilly and the Book Wanderers. This doesn't make me think of the Midnight Library at all. It doesn't give me any of the same vibes that that book gave me. The next absolutely gorgeous cover has to be for The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkoski, and it has to be the Fairy Loot edition, because look at this bitch. She is stunning. She has the sprayed pages, which doesn't matter because we're just talking about the cover today, but this whole design is just gorgeous, and I love the way it's like that rose gold foil against the blue because it's just so eye-catching and it really does just appeal to me on a very deep level. This was the first Fairy Loot book I ever bought and I was fighting for it because it nearly sold out like straight away, and I'm just so glad I managed to get hold of a copy of it. And the worst cover for this one for me is the US paperback because I'm just not a fan of the art style. I don't really like people on covers anyway. illustrated people on covers that don't really look like people and have strange snakes on their heads, less appealing to me. I'm guessing the little strip of colour down the side is supposed to be one of those books when the cover's like shorter than the pages, so that's not actually like the cover, but that puts me off too. Just everything about this one. When they announced these redesigns and the fact that the Hollow Heart was having this cover for it, I was just so glad I had this edition and I didn't need to worry about there being a big redesign, because Fairy Loot have done a matching edition of the sequel, so it's all okay. The next book on my list is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. For me, the best cover for this one is the Indonesian cover. Everything about this is just stunning to me. The big phoenix in the background, absolutely gorgeous. The colour palette is just stunning. I recommended this to Sean when he was doing a best global book covers video a few months ago. I say a few months ago, it's probably like February last year. Because I just love this cover, and if I read Indonesian, I would be buying it in a heartbeat because it is stunning. But for me, the worst cover would have to be the French cover, because it's just a lady stood. And it doesn't appeal to me at all. It doesn't look like it really suits the story. It doesn't look like any of the other covers. If you're scrolling through all of the Poppy War covers on Goodreads, all of them either have poppies or phoenixes or some kind of iconography like that. This one is just a lady stood. And I haven't read the Poppy War yet, but it doesn't feel like it fits the mood of the story based off of what people have told me about it. So I'm a little confused on why they would go with that style. The next book on my list is Radio Silence by Alyce Oseman. For this one, I think that the worst cover for me is the UK paperback. I'm just, as I said, not a fan of people on covers, but something like this one where it's got like the kind of half monochrome and then the staticky rainbows. I'm not completely sure why they went with this design. I like the redesigned UK cover more, because it's like a person diving through water, like going down to get some headphones. That's pretty, but the original cover really did not appeal to me. I read it anyway, but if it had been a case of like I saw this on a shelf in a bookshop, I wouldn't have picked it up. It was only because I think it was a Sunday YA book pick, and I had it on my NetGalley, so that was the only reason that I ended up reading it, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, but with that cover I wouldn't have read it. But with the US cover, I would have. I love the US cover of this one, and I think it is absolutely stunning. And I don't know why I decided to do this one like worse than best rather than best than worst. Switching it up. Got halfway through my own video and got confused on what I was doing. But there's just something about this one where it's got like the starkness of the headlights and the kind of white font glowing, the purpley blue background. It just makes me want to go on a road trip, and it makes me want to pick up this book again. The next book on this list is The Raven Boys, and I'm going to go with the Fox and Wit cover for the best one. I had never seen this until I was researching this, but I think it's stunning. It's got like the Anglian big crest, and then it's got like the birds, it's got a gorgeous font, it's got the boys on it. I just love everything about this cover, and I'm going to have to see whether I can get hold of it, because I don't know whether it was a Fox and Wit special edition, or whether it was a dust jacket, or whether, like, whatever it was. But it is stunning, and it's definitely the best cover of The Raven Boys that exists. Whereas the worst cover of The Raven Boys that exists is the French edition again, because it's just a lady intensely staring. And it definitely seems to be putting too much on the fact that it's, like, Blue's story, because in all actuality, it is like the boys' story. It's Blue and the boys, and I think there's too much focus on the fact that it's like a love story. Like, the little bit underneath says, like, if she kisses her true love, he dies. And yes, that's a part of the story, but it's not the whole story, and I think this one kind of minimises that and makes it look more like it's just a love story. The next book on my list is Red Rising by Pierce Brown, because is it really a Bumbling blogger video without me mentioning Red Rising? For this one, the best cover for me has to be the Fairy Loot edition. I think they are absolutely stunning, and I'm so glad that I own them. I've got them stored safely upstairs, so I haven't got them out for today. But this is just such a gorgeous cover. I like the fact that the Howler logo is like so centered and focused, and the foiling, and I just love the whole thing. This is probably my favourite book set that I own in the entire world, and I definitely need to rearrange my shelves so I can actually get it up on my shelves rather than just storing it upstairs, because I would like to show these off more regularly. But the worst cover for me is the Latvian cover. And I'm going to be honest, I can't actually remember what the Latvian cover looked like, because I liked it that little. So I'm just going to revisit my links that I sent to Sean. Oh yeah, the Latvian cover, that's not a good time. It literally looks like someone's been skinned alive. It makes me so uncomfortable. I'd forgotten how uncomfortable this made me, and I've loaded up the cover and looked at it again. I know what they're trying to do with it. I don't like where it's going. If this was the cover of Red Rising that was, like, worldwide, I would not own this book. And I love Red Rising. Like, I would still have it on my Kindle. I would have still read it because of how much everybody was going on about it. But this cover would just put me off owning it for life. The next book on my list is The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. The best cover has to be the US hardcover because it is just stunning. I am a sucker for Galaxy print because I'm a basic bitch. And the house in the snow with the stars and the galaxy, oh, it just appeals to me. I just want to fall into this cover. Whenever there's one of those subjects that's like, oh, like on Top 10 Tuesday, if they're like, oh, pick a book whose world you'd like to live in. Like, I want to live in the world of this cover because it's just gorgeous. So stunning, and it made me want to read the book. Even though I didn't like the UK cover so much, it made me so excited to read the book because I'd seen this gorgeous cover, and I ended up giving it 5 stars, and I loved it. However, I really don't like the German cover for this one because I just don't understand why they choose to go with a really big girl's face. The Smell of Other People's Houses is like 5 different stories intersecting, so it would make more sense if there were like 5 people or like a group of people. Just one person's big face. I don't get it. I'm not sure why you would go with that. I'm not a fan of like the text placement either. Everything about this cover is just a big no-no for me. And the last one on this list has to be Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, which is another one of my favourite books of all time. The best cover of this one, the Indonesian cover, because look, that is so stunning. I love the colours, I love the design, I just love absolutely everything about it. I would buy these books in a heartbeat. As I said about the Poppy War, if I could read in Indonesian, I would own these because they are so gorgeous. However, the worst cover for me, which might be a controversial one, is the UK paperback. I think it's probably because the UK hardcover was so gorgeous. Like, the UK hardcover is dark blue and it has the big gold moth on it and it's stunning. And then they come out with this weird washed out pale paperback with like these white moths that are surrounded in black and look like they've been burnt off of the page, and I just didn't really understand it. And I've seen it in real life and it looks even less appealing in real life. It genuinely looks like the most boring book in the world, and Strange the Dreamer is not boring. Strange the Dreamer is anything but boring, so it's really frustrating that they did this to it. I was really hoping they would just have the hardback covers on the paperbacks because I would happily own those as paperbacks. They're stunning, but I don't know what they were thinking with this one because it's really gross. And those are 10 books and the best and worst covers of each of them. If you agree with these or if you disagree with these, then leave a comment down below and we can have a discussion. As I said earlier, if you've got any books that you would like me to feature, then please leave those down below and we can see about doing another round of this because this has been so much fun. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to subscribe, we'd be super duper grateful. We post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, so we will see you in a couple of days with another video, and hopefully I will be a little less clogged up and a little more energetic. Thank you for watching. Bye! It would have helped if I'd remembered to pick up my list.